Man, the way this game spiraled felt like one of those moments where every Eagles fan just sat back and said, "No way this is happening again." From the jump, you could tell things were off. Not just the injuries piling up, not just the guys limping through plays, but the whole vibe of the offense felt like it was trapped in mud. It was one mistake here, another slip up there, and little by little it turned into the kind of mess that always comes back to bite you in the worst possible moment. And sure enough, it did. That missed kick, for example, was the kind of play that haunts you because it was supposed to be automatic, indoors, no wind, no excuses, just put the ball through the uprights and keep the momentum rolling. Instead, it sailed wide and instantly sucked the air out of everything the team had built up to that point. Then came the decisions that seemed tiny on paper but explode in impact during the game. That return that should have just been let go for a touchback, giving the offense a clean start instead of chaos. That one moment of hesitation that handed Dallas a free extra chance, even though they did nothing with it on the scoreboard. It shifted the energy, it gave them life, and in rivalry games, sometimes life is all a team needs to start clawing back, and the frustration didn't stop there. Because the run game, man, the run game was painful to watch every time the ball hit the running back's hands. It felt like he was trying to create the play of the season instead of just hitting the lane that was right in front of him, that 2nd and 7 where all he had to do was push forward, take the easy yards, move the chains that should have been routine, but instead of lowering the shoulder and driving straight, he tried to dance, tried to cut, tried to create something flashy, and ended up slipping. And that one slip flipped the whole possession, because the very next play turned into one of the worst sacks of the game. Suddenly the drive was dead, the clock was shrinking, and momentum was shifting the wrong way. It was tough because you could see the burst is still there, the athleticism is still there, but the decisiveness, that was gone. It was like he kept waiting for last year's holes to magically reappear. And this offensive line just isn't giving that reality. This line is beat up, inconsistent, and missing the rhythm they had before the injuries started stacking. With a line like that, you don't get to dance. You hit whatever sliver of daylight shows up and pray it turns into something. The rookie understood that. Every touch he had, he just went. No hesitation, no three-step jukes, no waiting for miracles. He saw space and exploded through it. That alone made you wonder why he didn't get more carries when it was clear the starter couldn't get anything going. And then the fumble. Man, that fumble felt like the air left the entire stadium. You're a veteran, surrounded by defenders, in a game that's slipping through your fingers. That's the moment you lock both arms around the ball and refuse to give it up. But again, trying to do too much, trying to turn nothing into something, he left it exposed. And in rivalry games, against a team that lives off emotion, you cannot do that. Not in that moment, not in that field position. Not when the offense is desperate for something stable. The truth is, the run game was non-existent, completely dead, and without it, this offense becomes one-dimensional in the worst way possible. That's why the quarterback had to start pulling the ball down and running himself. Even though that hasn't been the design this season, he could see the line collapsing. He could see the backs getting stuck behind the line. He had to manufacture yards because nobody else could do it, and still, outside of that one awful sack near the end, he played clean. No turnovers, controlled throws, moved the ball. Hard to pin this one on him when everything around him was falling apart. And speaking of falling apart, the penalties. My God, the penalties. It felt like every time the offense made a positive play, a flag came flying out of nowhere. Holding, false start, illegal formation, you name it. Some of them were questionable, but not 14 of them, not that many. You can complain about 1 or 2 calls, sure. But when the number hits double digits, that's discipline, that's execution. That's players not locking in. You cannot give away that many free yards and expect to win a divisional game on the road. And then on defense, little things kept going wrong at the worst times. A pass drops right into your hands for what should have been a drive-killing interception, and it bounces off. Next thing you know, Dallas scores on that exact drive. Missed tackles, blown assignments, confusion with substitutions leading to too many men on the field. That alone is the type of mental lapse that drives coaches insane, because you learn that on day 1 of organized football, count your personnel. The secondary got banged up too. And once the rotation started shifting, everything looked shaky. The rookie corner, who had been holding things down inside, suddenly got moved outside. And immediately the opposing receiver started cooking him snap after snap, route after route. It was like watching someone get thrown into deep water without warning, not because he's a bad player, but because that isn't his spot, and when they moved him back inside, the coverage tightened again, but by then the damage had already stacked. With the injuries at safety, the replacements coming in were trying to catch up to the speed of the game, and it showed. Misreads, late reactions, bad angles, the kind of things that only clean up with experience or a healthy starter returning. And this week is a short week, which makes everything worse. You barely get time to breathe, let alone fully prepare, and on top of all that, the offense became predictable in the second half. The routes were the same, the concepts were the same, the defense across from them started jumping plays before the ball was even snapped. When your linemen, your quarterback, your receivers all come out after the game and basically say, without saying it directly, that the play calling just isn't putting them in positions to succeed, man, that says everything. Even veterans were throwing subtle shots in post-game interviews. When players start talking like that publicly, it means behind closed doors those conversations are even louder. Because that's the thing, nobody knows what version of the coaching staff is going to show up each week. Some weeks they look dialed in and ready to dominate. Other weeks it feels like they are flipping through a playbook blindfolded, and with the schedule tightening, with playoff position on the line, you cannot afford that inconsistency. Not when the first seed is right there for the taking, yet somehow, despite everything, they're still sitting in the top spot. Control is still in their hands. Beat the Bears and they stabilize things. Drop that game, and the conversations get real serious real fast. But divisional games are always weird, and this one was a perfect example of how quickly things can swing. A huge lead, momentum completely on your side, and then everything cracks at once. The kind of collapse people will bring up for years because of how shocking it was. What really sticks out about this whole meltdown is how the rhythm of the game shifted the moment the team stopped trusting what had been working early on in the first half. Everything looked controlled, the tempo was sharp, the offense stayed ahead of the chains. The defense flew around and forced tough third downs. And even with some bumps and bruises, it felt like they had the kind of command you want in a rivalry game. Then halftime hit, and it was like someone unplugged the entire operation. The urgency disappeared, the creativity vanished, drives that should have ended with points suddenly ended with confusion, miscommunication, or someone taking a penalty that erased an otherwise clean play. That's the type of identity loss that can happen when you're playing a team that feeds off momentum swings the way Dallas does. And it wasn't like the defense wasn't fighting. They were hanging on as best they could despite all the injuries and constant short fields. But when your offense keeps giving the ball back quickly, keeps letting the opponent stay within reach, keeps missing opportunities to close the door, eventually that pressure cracks something. Even the best defenses fold when they're on the field for too long or asked to bail out mistake after mistake, and that's exactly what happened. You could see the fatigue in the tackling. You could see the hesitation in the coverage. Guys were a step late, a step tired, a step worn down from the constant strain of trying to save a game that should never have been close. The offensive line injuries didn't help either. Every time someone went down, the protection got shakier. The pocket shrank faster, and the run game disappeared entirely. It felt like the quarterback barely had time to finish his drop back before someone was collapsing the edge or driving straight through the interior. Veterans were getting pushed back, backups were getting overwhelmed, and the coaching staff still kept calling plays that required deep routes to develop, long developing runs, or slow play action designs that didn't match the state of the line. When you're dealing with a battered unit up front, you have to adjust. Quick throws, misdirection, screens, anything to slow down the rush and steal a few easy yards. Instead, it felt like they kept forcing a playbook written for a healthy roster. And everyone paid for that stubbornness, and the communication breakdowns, man, those were brutal. There was one sequence where the offense looked completely confused about the formation, the motion, the snap count, everything. Then someone jumped early, then someone missed a block, then the quarterback had to throw the ball away because the play never had a chance. All of that could have been avoided with cleaner coaching and sharper discipline. It's one thing to get beat physically, it's another thing entirely to beat yourself mentally. Those are the types of things that good teams don't allow to happen in crucial moments. On the defensive side, losing key players forced guys into roles they weren't ready for. And it showed instantly. The safeties were struggling with angles, allowing extra yards after the catch, and hesitating on deep routes. Corners who normally play inside were suddenly on the outside trying to slow down receivers who thrive in one-on-one situations. That mismatch became obvious from the moment it happened, and the opponent wasted no time exploiting it. The rookie looked completely uncomfortable outside, getting turned around repeatedly, missing recoveries, and giving up separation on routine breaks. He's talented, no doubt, but that's not his spot. Asking him to perform like a seasoned outside corner felt unfair, and the game reflected that mismatch over and over. Then you look at the linebacker group, and it was a mixed bag. Some strong plays in the run game, some well-timed blitzes, but also moments where the tight ends found soft spots in coverage, or the middle of the field open just enough for a key conversion. And these weren't massive breakdowns, but they were costly ones. The type where one bad angle turns a manageable situation into a first down. Meanwhile, the pass rush kept flashing but couldn't finish. There were moments where they were inches from sacks, moments where the quarterback was wrapped up but slipped away, moments where the timing was perfect but the tackle wasn't. Those add up too, especially when the opponent starts building confidence from escaping pressure. The offense had chances to take control back, but every time they had one of those moments, one of those drives, where you felt like, okay, here we go. This is it. Something ridiculous happened. A holding call wiped out a big run. A bad snap killed the timing of a third down play. A receiver slipped on a route that was completely open. Or someone missed a blocking assignment that immediately turned a positive play into a scramble drill. You could feel the frustration building with each mistake. It wasn't just the fans. You could see it in the body language on the sideline. Helmets being adjusted angrily, hands thrown up, heads shaking after another drive stalled out. When your best playmakers are looking around like they don't understand what the game plan is anymore, that's a major red flag. The quarterback stayed poised through most of it, but the protection broke down so quickly that he started rushing throws he normally doesn't rush. He started taking hits he normally avoids. He started pulling the ball down more because nothing was developing in time, and even then, he kept the team afloat with smart decisions and efficient passes. But at a certain point, no amount of individual poise can outpace a collapsing structure around you. And that's what this game turned into, a collapse from all directions. Offense stumbling, defense bending, special teams missing routine plays, coaches freezing when adjustments were needed most. FlyEaglesFly News family, smash subscribe and hit like. Your support keeps the freshest Philadelphia Eagles updates flying in. Drop your take in the comments and let's talk birds. The NFL woke up to a fresh wave of speculation after DEEBO, never one to shy away from a bold remark, delivered another scorching statement aimed squarely at the Eagles. It wasn't just a casual jab. It was the kind of comment that ripples through locker rooms, front offices, and fan bases alike. Word spread quickly, turning what might have been a fleeting remark into one of the most talked about tensions of the moment. Witnesses close to the situation claim that DEEBO's tone carried more fire than usual, as if there were unresolved battles simmering beneath the surface. Some insiders insist it's personal, while others believe it's a chess move, a deliberate attempt to shift momentum, unsettle rivals, or rally his own side with a spark of bravado. Whatever the motive, it worked. The league is humming with whispers, debates, and theories. Fans immediately ignited social media with reactions ranging from laughter to outrage. Eagles supporters called it unnecessary provocation, while others applauded DEEBO for saying what many supposedly think but never dare to voice. Analysts have begun dissecting every word, gesturing, and sideline hint in search of meaning. Did he intend to rattle a particular player? Is he hinting at something larger brewing between the two organizations? Or is this simply DEEBO doubling down on his reputation as a fearless competitor who thrives in chaos? One thing is clear: the tension between DEEBO and the Eagles has reached a new temperature, and players around the league are reportedly paying close attention. Some anonymous sources suggest his comment struck a nerve within the Eagles' ranks, sparking internal conversations about pride and response. Others say the team is brushing it off, though few believe the atmosphere is truly calm. Whether this flare-up becomes the spark of a larger rivalry or just another chapter of NFL theater remains to be seen. For now, the league watches, talks, speculates, and waits for the next word from DEEBO, who seems to relish the noise he creates. That's a wrap from FlyEaglesFly News. If you want the fastest Eagles updates, subscribe. drop a like, and turn on the bell. Sound off in the comments. Let's talk birds.